Welcome to another episode of Malaysians on the Move. Just want to say a quick thank you to all you listeners for tuning in on this and previous episodes. Today, I will be speaking with Vinisha, who went to my high school, Asunta Secondary School. We were the same year, but never in the same class, I don't think. But we definitely had a few common friends. When she visited New York City a few years ago, and when I was living there at the time, we met up for a meal. That was the last time I saw her in person. Vinisha is a lawyer by profession and now lives in London. Welcome to the podcast. Really excited for you to share your story. Please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, Yoshnee. Thank you, first of all, for this opportunity. It's great to be speaking with you on this topic, one which I'm sure many can relate to. So, a little bit about me, right? Okay, so I grew up in Petaling Jaya, PJ. I went to Sri Petaling Primary School, and then thereafter Asunta Secondary Girls School, which is where I met you. Um, it was a nice school. We have friendships that carry on till today, so that's really amazing. I am the youngest of three siblings. My father is a retired pilot, and my mother is a homemaker. So, in my earliest memories growing up, I always remember that I was in the kitchen watching my mother cook. At that point in time, she used to run a food business from home before she actually opened up a restaurant later on. So it was just sort of like from that point in time, it sparked my love for food and cultivated my baking cooking skills, and really what led to me being what you call it, a foodie in today's in today's terms. So I always enjoyed trying new recipes, and the end product would always be really rewarding because I got to eat what I made. So, being from an Asian family, I'm sure you can relate to this as well. In terms of career path, the only options are either you're a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Well, jokes aside, my mom has always said that, I'm always very inquisitive and talkative in nature, and that I was always good at advising people. So that's when I just, I sort of thought about, okay, what do I really want to do, and I really looked into law seriously at that point in time. So it was not without the requisite blood, sweat, and tears that I achieved this goal. I had an amazing 6-year journey as a litigation lawyer in Malaysia. It was challenging, but very, very fulfilling. I really was doing what I loved. But there was a part of me who always wanted to try something new, or try something different, because I felt like I was very comfortable where I was. Nothing wrong in that, nothing wrong, but that there was just this craving for something different. But I wasn't sure what it was at that point in time. I was still trying to find the answers. So yeah, that's essentially my story.
Wow, that's a lot. You shared so much. We're going to unpack a lot of that. I actually want to go back to what you said about when you were growing up, you had a lot of memories in the kitchen because your mom would make a lot of food. And if you were to go back to that time, what is a dish or two that you say is something that you remember so fondly and is still something that you make till today?
Ooh, okay. My mom's most popular dish would be her lasagna. Okay, I have her recipe. I haven't mastered it yet, but it is probably one of the best dishes that she has made and continues to make. And I guess the second thing would have to be her nasi lemak.
Oh, you mean specifically like the sambal being like,
Yes, the way she made her sambal, and the way she made the condiments, like the fried chicken and everything, it was all, yeah, that's something that I remember very fondly.
that's awesome. I want to try it someday. Maybe you can give me the recipe and I can try making it. Okay. And I like that your mom encouraged you to consider being a lawyer because you speak well and you are very talkative, as she would say. And then you really took it seriously and pursued that.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about where you studied law and you worked as a lawyer? You mentioned it was comfortable. Maybe share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So I studied law. I did a twinning program. I studied the first 2 years in Help University, and then I did a twinning program to University of West England in Bristol. So that's where I did my final year. Eventually, I didn't think I was going to stay in the UK, so I decided to come back to Malaysia to pursue the certificate in legal practice. That's the qualifying exam. That was, I would say, 2014, thereabout 2015, that I passed the CLP. And then I had to do chambering, which is like the training, 9-month training pupillage that's compulsory before getting called to the Malaysian bar. I then got called in October of 2016. That's when I truly started my career as a lawyer. I was trying to decide which area of law that I liked, but being so new into the profession, I didn't really quite know. But after about a year, I started to really like litigation. That's where we go to court and argue cases. So that really was quite exciting because I enjoyed the adrenaline of it and being in court and appearing before judges. And of course, we sit as like a shadow to a senior partner whom we work with. And so there was a very steep but very big learning curve during that period. For the most part, yes, I definitely enjoyed my career as a lawyer. It was definitely very challenging, long hours. There were days where, we had urgent deadlines and, I'd be working 12 to 16 hours. These things were considered normal at that time. And of course, being new in the industry, in the career, you really want to put your best foot forward and you want to work really hard. And so that's exactly what I did. Just before I left Malaysia, I was promoted to a senior associate. And it was a good career trajectory that I was moving towards.
Yeah, that's awesome. Despite the long hours, you were willing to work hard the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like what is required. It's like, okay, you have to put in these long hours, if not, you're not going to be a good lawyer, that kind of thing. So that's sort of like the mindset that's like cultivated from the very beginning, that like if you do not put in the hours, then you're not going to see the results. I mean, I suppose that applies to a lot of things in life, whatever you want to get good at. That's the reason they call it practice, being in legal practice, because it's all about practice. So the more hours you spend, the more reading you do, you're only going to get better at it. So yeah, that was really the goal. And I enjoyed the thrill of it as well. As painful as the hours were, I think what was really rewarding was, seeing the end result when we won a case. And I knew it was based on my research or my arguments. It's really nice to know that.
Yeah. They say that when you love what you do, you don't actually feel like it's work or that it's a lot of time because you actually love it.
Yes.
For me personally, I think during university, I spent a lot of hours studying and, just like you said, putting in the hours. But then when I transitioned to my career and full time job, I've been lucky that my work hours have been very, 9 to 5, very rare that you have days that are longer than that. And now for me to imagine doing that and being like, yeah, I actually didn't mind it. I loved it. It's hard for me to imagine, but good for you. Good for you. Now, I guess you did mention that you felt a little comfortable.
Yes.
What did that lead you to do?
I mean, when I say I felt comfortable, it wasn't in a sense of anything negative at all. I did recognize I was in a good place career wise, but then there was this sort of like hunger to try something different. Like I knew what I had, but what if I did something else? How would I know if I'm good at something else if I don't try it, right? So in about early 2022, my husband was scrolling through Instagram and there was an advert actually, this visa program launched by the UK government called the High Potential Individual Visa. So he says, hey, there's this new visa program and turns out I'm eligible. So I thought, oh, okay, should we just give it a go? We have also like talked about, potentially moving abroad just to gain like work experience. So I said, okay, we discussed it and I said, okay, I think we're just going to go for it. Let's just apply and see what happens. It was very like, we weren't even sure what we were going to do. We just apply and see where it goes. And we actually got the visa very quickly. I also just got married at that time, about mid 2022, so I could apply as a dependent.
Right.
And so when we got the visa, we just stared at each other and we're like, okay, what's going on? Are we doing this? Because we didn't tell any of our family members, we didn't tell anybody that we were like doing it, until we got it. Then we were told that one of the stipulations of this visa is that we need to be in the UK within 3 months of the date of when it was issued. So we left our jobs, sold my car, left our apartment, and packed our bags. Here we go, off to an adventure into the unknown. We have no idea. Now, never in my life have I actually ever winged things in this way. I'm usually like, I need to plan things. I think my husband is quite similar as well. We usually need to be, on this set path, and we need to know what's ahead, and we follow the general way of doing things, right?
Yes, I can very much relate to the planner life. I plan my months in advance. And I think probably if I were to guess, when you guys saw the ad on Instagram, you like spontaneously just applied because it cost nothing to apply. Am I right in guessing that it costed nothing to apply?
I mean, there were costs like application, yes, yeah.
Okay. But you were willing to just put it out there and then, oh, whatever, if it comes, it comes. And then when it came, you actually had to make the decision, right? And then,
Correct. Yeah, we really and quite literally, just went for it. And, it's the first time that we were like uncertain about what the future was going to bring.
yeah, I guess you had mentioned that when you studied in the UK, you knew that you weren't going to stay back to pursue a career there and you returned to Malaysia. And then
Yes,
this time, the application was to go back to London, so
yes.
UK.
I mean, I think I was excited actually because, when I was a student and from that time till 2022, I think a lot of changes in mindset had taken place. And
Oh,
and that's just sort of what pushed me to also like figure out, what if there's something for me out there?
okay. So you're willing to embrace that. But when you were a student, you were like so convinced, I'm going to go back to Malaysia.
Yes, yeah.
Continue your story. So you had sold your car, you packed your bags, and you were on your flight to London.
Don't get me wrong. It was definitely very tough leaving our families, our loved ones, our friends, and not to mention Malaysia's amazing food. So, then we arrived here and we were like, okay, first things first, we need to look for a house. We need to do all the basic things. And therein lied the problem because they gave us the visa, but they didn't think about some other things to follow, and we found ourselves very much in like a catch-22 situation. So okay, we're granted the visa to come and work and look for work in the UK without a job offer, right? But no landlord wanted to approve us, when we were looking for properties, because they would say, oh, you're unemployed. And whenever we try to explain to people, hey, but actually this visa that we're on and we're granted 2 years here, and we will look for a job, and we do have the funds if you need proof of that, but they just didn't want to budge. So we actually spent about a month plus without a home. We were moving Airbnbs at that time. I was also very lucky to have my brother in Oxford because he was here for a short while, so we could stay with him. Eventually, we had to hire a relocation agent and had to pay this person to actually find a property for us because that's how desperate we were at that time. And not to mention, we couldn't even open a bank account because they said you can't open a bank account unless you have proof of a utility bill. So
Oh my God.
So you know what I mean? Like, we want to open a bank account and somewhere to live, a roof over our heads, and everything was just sort of connected like a chicken and egg situation. Thankfully, through God's grace, we really, found a way through all of these challenges, and we managed to find a house. And then thereafter, we managed to both find a job sometime in about April, May of last year, 2023. And then, I would still say the first year was very much of a survival mode sort of situation because it's getting to know how things work around here, and getting to make new friends. I think these are all very, very difficult things. And then assimilating in the workplace is also something very difficult because for me, I worked in Malaysia. I got very used to the culture, work culture, and lifestyle in Malaysia. And then coming here, it's actually quite different.
How hard was it to find a job for both you and your husband? So you had valid legal status and
Yes.
it was just a matter of finding an opportunity. So how hard was it? That's my first question. And can you expand more on what are some of the differences you felt when you started working in the UK?
I'll answer the first part of your question first, which is how difficult was it to find a job? I would say it was quite difficult. I actually got very lucky at that point in time because the relocation agent who found us this property that we're living in now, she also was running a small law firm.
A good coincidence.
Yeah, very much so. It almost felt like, wow, this opportunity kind of actually fell on my lap when I was struggling, the first few months to look for a job and things. It wasn't an area of law that was of something that I would have liked to pursue. But a job is a job nonetheless, and that was what the goal and the priority was at that time. So, and then as for my husband, I think he equally found it quite difficult. I guess what we found through contacts that, led us to find the jobs that we found at that time.
So basically, like through networking and people that you knew.
That's right, because my husband has a friend that been living here for quite some time, and it was through him, really lovely friend as well, who introduced my husband to this company that he's working for. So I think sometimes having friends or someone to make a referral does help you get the foot in the door. 100%, I think. In terms of negative things, I suppose to an extent, it may not be so clear as to black and white type of racial differences, but I did feel a bit of that at my workplace. It was definitely not a very nice feeling when you're looked at a certain way or you're treated a certain way.
And it's because they saw you as an immigrant, like as a foreigner.
I think yes, because there were comments that were made when I was working about, oh, okay, I used to try to ask them, oh, have you been to Malaysia? This is the Malaysian national dish, and I would get responses like, ew.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's shocking.
Yeah, and I think it was very different, like the culture and the people in the firm that I was working at, being a very small firm, comparison to where my husband is working, which is a very international company. And
Oh.
so he would have a lot of international colleagues, and everybody's from different places. And so I don't think the chances of a person facing racism there's, I think it's much lower. Yeah.
Yeah, the saying "you" for Malaysia's national dish, that's just borderline disrespectful and rude. Even
Yeah.
if you've never had the dish, there's like an etiquette in front of your colleagues or coworkers to at least be like, "Oh, I've never had it." And you can still decline to try it or
Exactly.
say you're not interested in it, but to give you like a disgusting look about your food, that stuff is not nice. So I take that you didn't stay at the job for very long.
No, I didn't. I recognize that, my mental health is more important. And, this is not something I wanted to be subjected to. And I also knew, from talking to some friends that there are some really good places that, one can work. So why do I need to subject myself to that? And I need to just keep moving forward, essentially.
Okay, so what ended up happening? You left the job, and what did you decide to do?
So at that point in time, I think I was thinking very hard about what I wanted to do. I did go back to Malaysia for a short while. Actually, not that short, about 5 weeks. It was
Hey, 5 weeks is short. 5 weeks is short.
um, yeah, I think, yeah, I'm going to say it's short because it really did fly by. And just to sort of recalibrate and, remember who I was, I think, because there was a brief point in time where I started to think, okay, wow, I'm questioning so many things, I did want to come out of my comfort zone, but then this situation that I was in was very much the epitome of being outside the comfort zone because as much as I was a qualified or I am a qualified lawyer in Malaysia, my qualifications weren't fully recognized here.
Got
So
it.
even when I was working in the first company firm that I worked at, I was a registered foreign lawyer. Yeah. So that does and did like limit possibilities in terms of job opportunities. And so after much thinking, then I decided that I was going to sit for the solicitor's exam here. And I want to qualify here, essentially.
That's awesome. What does it take to do the solicitor's exam? Do you have to sign up just for the exam or do you have to do a course?
The course isn't compulsory. I think, considering that I do have experience as a lawyer and I have worked for at least 6 years in Malaysia, so they would consider me as a legal professional sitting for the exam as opposed to like a student per se. So because I do have the work experience in Malaysia, they actually exempted me from part of the exam, the part two of the exam. So it was then that I realized, okay, since I'm already exempt from the second part of the exam, I must as well sit for the first part,
Yeah,
and get the qualification. Then it will open many more doors for me.
that's awesome. That's a great mindset. So now, are you studying for the solicitor's part one exam?
Yes, I've actually just started studying. It's interesting to be going back to studies after years, but then I suppose that's what my job entailed anyway, lots and lots of reading. Not so unfamiliar to me in that sense, but yeah, I've just started, and hopefully I'll be able to be ready in time for the exam sometime early next year.
I wish you all the best. That is a really,
Thank you,
really good
Yoshi.
thing to do because then you will be qualified in the UK and you are qualified in Malaysia. So you will
Yes.
always have the opportunity to go back to Malaysia or you could stay here. And in life, we should continue to learn. And this is what you're doing.
Yes, I mean, it wasn't an easy decision to make as well because, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there are many times where, my husband and I were like, okay, I think, I'm ready to throw the towel and just give up and go back home. After all, like this is what the 2 year experience was supposed to be for, to see whether it was for us or not. But I suppose when it came to the day that we had to make the decision and to decide whether we wanted to stay on, because my husband was offered a work sponsorship, I suddenly realized that I didn't want to go home yet. I'm not done writing my story here, and I'm not done achieving what I wanted to achieve here. And so until I do that and achieve, the achievement is not really for anyone else but myself.
Makes sense.
And it's just something that I want to do. And I think that I've always had a mindset to persevere and work hard. And that's something I'm always going to hold close to me in whatever I pursue. On top of that, I am also fostering 3 kittens. Um, so I've actually had cats my whole life since I was about 3 years old. And my big baby is actually in Malaysia. She's with my parents, and I've been missing her a lot lately. And I guess that's what led me to start fostering these 3 little kittens.
What are their names?
So they are called Coco, Truffle, and Pepper. So they're 3 black cats. And because of my love for food, I wanted to connect their names to something food related.
That's awesome. Oh my God. I have a black cat too. I
Oh, do
didn't know.
you?
Yes, I do. Oh my God, that's so cute. So they're all kittens, and I'm guessing you're hoping to keep them,
I
maybe?
mean, if we live here for a decent few years, I think that we might just have a potential foster fail. Although I think my husband, I need to have a chat with him about it. But we would love to keep at least one or two. Definitely, they're very, very cute.
Yeah, it's gonna make it feel more like home as well for you.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's always it's always nice to have a pet at home. I always believe that.
Yeah, I can relate to that now as well since I'm a new cat
Cat
mom.
mom, yeah.
Nice. Just a clarification question. So the initial
Yeah,
visa
sure.
was for 2 years, but now that because he has a job, you were able to extend it. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So essentially, high potential individual visa, it will expire after the 2 year period. So if one of us found, let's just say, a company and a job that was willing to sponsor our visa for the years after, then we can do that. And so that happened with him, and that's when we decided, okay, he was being offered a 3-year visa, and we decided we're gonna extend that a bit.
Yeah, sounds like it's meant to be. I like to
Mm.
wrap up by asking the golden question. Hey, would you ever go back to Malaysia someday? It sounds like maybe.
Yeah, I think the simple answer to that is yes. I think that we could see ourselves retiring in Malaysia. At the end of the day, like having lived here now for 2 years, actually, the time has flown. I think we are able to see, the benefits of retiring in Malaysia. At the end of the day, home is home. Home is where the family is, friends are, good food is. At the end of the day, you want to live like very comfortably. You want to be able to access some things which are, for example, medical, hospitals and things like that. The NHS is notoriously known for its long waiting times and things like that. Yeah, so I think in that sense, and being in old age, that these are the things that would matter, that you have people, loved ones around you, and you're able to have a certain type of freedom to live in a way. Whereas here, I feel, I mean, I don't know how well I'm going to handle the cold in the years to come.
Yeah, same.
Uh, and I'm sure, if your parents like had visited you, they're like, okay, it's nice and all, but it's very cold.
Yes, definitely. Even in the summer, my dad was like, it's cold here. So,
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I think the simple answer is further down the line that there is a very high possibility that we would return home.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's finish up with maybe you can share a little bit about your food journey because you started off by sharing how you are really into food and you're a foodie. What do you have to say about
yeah.
that now? How is it like in London?
Okay, I've always enjoyed cooking. I suppose it kind of revved up and ramped up when I came here, and realized that, first of all, the Malaysian food is not the best, or maybe I'm just being picky. But that's when I started, cooking a lot of Malaysian food, and food that I miss, essentially, like home cooked food that I
Yes,
miss.
that's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, we all, we got to do what we got to do at the end of the day. So, yeah, so it kind of started from there, and then I really enjoy as well, like checking out new restaurants and things like that, and sort of reviewing them. And so I started out for, I guess, a little passion project and a side project, a Instagram page to sort of post reels about these restaurants that I've been to. And then it sort of extended to the cooking bit. Well, I've been thinking about that because every time I post things that I've cooked on my personal Instagram page, my friends would always be like, "Can I please have the recipe? How did you do that? That looks so good. You should do like videos, like everyone's doing it. Why aren't you doing it?" And my mom as well. She's like, get on the bandwagon. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? So my ex-boss came down from Malaysia, and I had a small request for him, which was to bring the camera phone stand with the ring light so that I can attach it and start filming my cooking. So
Awesome.
this is it's something that is going to be a fun thing, a fun little project for me to do, because I also enjoyed editing the videos. um, yeah, so this is something I'm gonna sort of do a little soft launch coming soon,
Ooh.
and see how we
Are
go.
you planning to also post on YouTube or just keep it as Instagram Reels?
I think for now I will keep it to Instagram Reels because it's something that I can manage. I do want it to be short sort of videos
Yeah.
instead of very long ones. Maybe the detailed ones can come later on. I need to see the feedback, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Wow. I have to wish you all the best on so many things and so many great things coming your way. So, all the best for your Solicitors Part 1 exam, all the best for your cooking videos and Instagram Reel
Thank you.
launch. And I hope that your time in London is, I think your time in London is only going to get better as months go by with all these things coming up for you. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right. I feel like it's just beginning, I think.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Vinisha, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Yoshnee, once again for this opportunity. It's really, really interesting to gain some insight from you as well, and I think we both can understand the crests and troughs of living abroad.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And all the challenges and opportunities that come with it.
Yep, 100%.
All right. Bye, Vinisha.
Thank you, Yoshnee. Take care.
Listeners, the link to Vinisha's food Instagram page is klgirl_in London. It's there in the episode description as well. Check it out and be sure to follow her for restaurant recs and recipes. See you all in 2 weeks. Thank you for listening.